Hello there, hello EastEnders fans, hello EastEnders fans who are not EastEnders fans. For 10 years now you'll all know that I've been warning about the decline of EastEnders, a slow decline. I warned that EastEnders needed the same major surgery that Phil Redmond gave Emmerdale. In 1989, ITV wanted to axe Emmerdale. They brought in Phil Redmond to create a new soap. He said, no, let me deal with Emmerdale and I'll save it for you. They haven't looked back since, have they? But the BBC carried on and carried on trying to turn it into a teen soap, which didn't work, and it's got worse and worse and worse. In the past 9-10 months, the decline has sped up. They got Sean O'Connor, whose experience was working on The Archers on BBC Radio. The Archers is a radio soap. I'm sure he did a wonderful job. The Archers has a lot of fans, but that's not the point, is it? We look back at the decline. We begin with Kate Harwood, who was the showrunner. She started to run it into the ground. I started to notice that the characters lacked soul, lacked personality. You see, in '85 when EastEnders started, I noticed the dialogue was very speedy, very pacey. And in the editing room, they used to put the scenes together in such a way so you had the pacey dialogue and the scenes were so short and they flicked from one scene to the other. Now, to some people who had never seen anything like that before, because they were the first to do it, it seemed a bit messy, but it worked for EastEnders' gritty nature. EastEnders has lost all that. It's lost the aspect of a social drama. It's lost the aspect of realism. I believe now that EastEnders can no longer be a soap. Now, as you know, I've had a concept to change EastEnders for years now. It's a crime war concept. That will be the arc of the show, with the soapy storylines being a backdrop. I even kind of linked my video to a former EastEnders actress, Tracy Ann Oberman, and she complimented me for really thinking it through. And I must admit I've got a buzz out of that because I've been slaughtered by TV critics. I've been slaughtered by people in the industry that I was being unfair. Now what's happened recently is that I've met a few people online, Twitter, and who actually agree with what I'm saying. So now we've reached this situation, this sub-zero situation where EastEnders is literally on its knees. We have now got the crazy situation that they sacked Sean O'Connor. There were rumours of bullying, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how true that was. Certainly, he didn't do a good job. He suspended Danny Dyer. Who knows what happened there. An absolute calamity, an absolute mess. And we were heading to this. And don't think the previous showrunners can hold their head up high and say, oh, well, yeah. Because people like Dominic Treadwell-Collins, who I actually had respect for as a story consultant for Deirdre Santa. But one of the things I didn't like at the time was how Dominic Treadwell-Collins was getting all the glory for Deirdre Santa's imagination and hard work. Deirdre Santa's era in the past 10-15 years is the only era that's worked because he knew what EastEnders had to be. It had to be brutal, it had to be dramatic, it had to be gritty, and that's what he did. But the whole mentality by the BBC and the Brian Kirkwood situation was really something that brought EastEnders to a critical mass. Brian is a wonderful producer, a wonderful storyteller. The job he's done twice now on Hollyoaks. In fact, he's the longest running soap showrunner now because the others change their showrunners every 2 to 3 years. Something else I don't think really works for EastEnders. But as I said earlier, I don't believe that this calamity can carry on because either it's going to be cancelled or something dramatic has to happen. They sacked Sean O'Connor and brought former showrunner from years ago, John York, who did a marvellous job. We got all excited. Our excitement was tempered when we heard he was only coming in for 2 months. What can this man do in 2 months? Plus, although he was responsible for a fabulous era, he was taking over from an era that was well structured. He didn't have a mess to clean up. He has now. He has 2 months. Very soon his name will be on as an EP, executive producer, on EastEnders. and he'll have 2 months to sort this crap heap out. He's already fired Jacqueline Josser and Lorna, who plays Abby. I forgot her surname. Lorna was unlucky as far as I'm concerned, but Josser had to go. How Josser survived for so long, but that's what they wanted. They brought Josser in, she became popular, she was young, attractive. This is what they wanted. They didn't care about what EastEnders was. I'm 45. A lot of people my age remember EastEnders being a certain way, which you dared not miss it. You wouldn't record it on your VCR, VHS back then. You'd have to watch it live because it was so exciting and so compelling. Now, you don't really care if you missed it. These are things I warned about for so many years. We had the situation of Sharon Marshall, a television critic who also obviously had contacts within the industry to write the odd episode. I couldn't believe Sharon Marshall, a TV critic, was writing episodes of EastEnders. So they were digging and digging and digging this hole, and now they're in it. So who are they going to get to be full-time showrunner? Is it going to be another monkey? Because ultimately, the people that I blame for this are the BBC. This year, Oliver Kent took over as head of continuing drama. Oliver Kent, for many years, was running Casualty in Holby, and I looked up to him and I thought, what a great guy this is. I even used to compliment him on Twitter, and he used to like my stuff, which was great. But the buck has to stop with him as well. I've even heard that he kind of had a go at a fan on Twitter. Now that's his right, he's a human being, he can respond. It's hard to run these things, it's hard to work on these shows, but the calamity of the size of what EastEnders is, radical thinking needs to happen, and it needs to happen straight away. We are now at a situation where this show is so unpopular, it's literally trolled by people who are not even trolls. I mean, people are making GIFs. It's embarrassing. And now I think new ideas have to come in. I believe EastEnders, as I said before, can no longer be a soap. I think it needs to be a 1 hour drama. I think it needs to be cut to 1 hour a week. I don't think the way it is, it deserves the right to be on for 2 hours. I think you need to smallen the cast up. We need a small cast, and we need to do something special with this. Something unique, something original. Of course it will kind of still be a soap. My idea has always been for the backdrop of the show to be a soap. But you need something. This show needs to be brutal, it needs to be violent, it needs to be gritty, and it needs to be compelling. That's what this show needs to be. It's very sad for me what's happened. I don't have the power to go in there and sort it out. I'd go in there as a story consultant for nothing. That's how much I care about this show. I mean, we've seen how bad the continuity is now. Mick and Linda going on holiday while it's their son's birthday. No one's showing up for a funeral. You know, these are ridiculous, easy things. We've seen how badly Sharon's been written. Ian's been written badly for over a decade as far as I'm concerned. Instead of, I liked it when Ian was younger and he was his caring father, when Cindy walked out with Simon. I liked that Ian Bill, but then they made him into a twat. And I never understood why. There's so many things that can be done with this show. I have the ideas flowing from my head. But one thing's for sure, the BBC are a wonderful organisation who make beautiful dramas. But they have made so many mistakes with EastEnders. My message to the BBC is, fess up publicly and get someone in like me who cares about the show, who knows what the show needs, and I do. I may not know how to go and work on a big time television show. I don't know that. But sitting in a writer's room as a story consultant, I'm an ideas man. And there's plenty of us out there. Radical thinking is needed because this show has become a bad joke. And to the BBC, and to its directors, and to its head of drama, I would say, you are responsible. Fess up, own it, as Harley Quinn says in Suicide Squad. Own it. Be honest about your shortcomings. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes, but we all care about EastEnders. We all want to save it. So please, let me save it. Or get someone in who can save it. You must stop this stunted mentality towards the show.